Hi guys, when Lee Anderson was sacked from the Conservative Party and became an independent MP and then switched to Reform UK, I said at the time there should have been a by-election. When Natalie Elphicke defected from the Conservatives to Labour, I said at the time there should have been a by-election. So now that Rosie Duffield has resigned from the Labour Party, I'm once again calling for a by-election. But I'm not alone. The question was put to her by Lewis Goodall, and what do you think Rosie's response was? Do you think the MP who resigned on principle, as she says, would now back up that principle?
I hope the people that voted for me as a Labour MP understand, just as the other people that voted for me as supporters of other parties or members of other parties. I've always tried to be independent. I've always put my constituency first, and that's not going to change at all.
Well, perhaps you'd like to put that to the test by standing in a by-election then?
No, I think the reason that you do that is usually if you break the law and sort of transgress in some way.
Well, there have been precedents for people changing party and standing.
There have, yeah, but I haven't changed party.
Well,
I haven't changed my principles, my values, or anything I stood for. Everything I've said at all of the elections stays with me. Those are my principles. I will put my constituents first always, and that hasn't changed. I'm just not paying the Labour Party £300 a month.
What an absolute charlatan. You know, you won your seat thanks to the Labour Party. Now what you're doing is you're using that advantage to remain in Parliament for the rest of this Parliament, another 4 years probably. And you can't be challenged because you need, as you said, you need to break the rules. You need to run roughshod over Parliament. You need to have committed some sort of crime for your constituents to kick you out. See, this is extremely dishonest, and it's not just about Rosie Duffield, it's also any MP who avoids a by-election. It's extremely dishonest because you're elected in part because of the party you represent. You're throwing your constituents under a bus in a sense. It's extremely dishonest because they voted in part for you and in part for the party. Now you no longer represent the party. So people who voted for the party, what do they get? They get somebody who will actively work against the party. I'm not a fan of political parties, but if somebody voted for you in a general election to represent the party because of the policies of the party, because of the manifesto, then what message does that send to the constituents? Why didn't she run as an independent? Well, we all obviously know why she didn't run as an independent, because she wouldn't have held on to that seat. See, the thing is, the vote would have been split, and it's likely, not guaranteed, but it's likely that the Labour MP who would replace her would have won that seat, because there was a massive wave against the Tories. So she would have lost her seat. So she realised probably, and I mentioned this in another video, she probably thought, look, best to stay as a Labour MP and then switch later on. It's dishonest. I described it as dishonest when Lee Anderson did it. I described it as dishonest when Natalie Elphicke did it. Running away from your constituents, running away from your principles. She mentioned here principles. Now, in another part of the interview with Lewis Goodall, she said that she disagreed with Keir Starmer when it came to the two-child benefit cap on universal credit. She disagreed with Keir Starmer when it came to the winter fuel allowance. And I respect that, and I agree with her on those things. She disagreed with him on freebies, although she admitted taking freebies herself. She tried to downplay it because the quantity of cash we're talking about is much lower than Keir Starmer's, but then the principle is the same. You can't criticise Keir Starmer for taking freebies if you took them as well. In the same way as Keir Starmer can't criticise the Tories for taking freebies if he's taking them as well. So it's extremely dishonest. What if you truly care about your principles, you would be calling for a by-election, not waiting for others to press you into it. But she's a coward and a charlatan because she's not willing to stand on her principles and demand a by-election so that her constituents, which she believes voted for her as an independent-minded MP, could be put to the test. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.